Right, another day, more World Cup action, and in some drama. There's been some dull games, but overall it's been a good day of football. But I think we probably should start not only because it's the first game of the day, but because it was the biggest shock of the day. 51st ranked Saudi Arabia beating 3rd ranked Argentina, and they Saudi Arabia didn't, attack well. They didn't, they didn't dominate the game. You're not expecting to dominate, but they played very well and played the game to a T. Played the tactical nuances of the game to a T. You can tell the players have been together for a while. You can tell a lot of them play for the same club. But in the first half, Argentina got through them many times. Many times they're able to get through them, but it was always just offside. And you're like, this high line's not going to work. They kept playing it. They kept playing it for the first half. 3 disallowed goals for offside. And you go, they have to stop playing this. In the second half, they're going to get battered 4-5-0 because they're going to try and attack at some point, and they're just going to leave space behind it. Martinez or Di Maria or Messi getting in behind, it's going to something bad is going to happen, and it could be a thrashing. But they kept with it, and whilst in the second half they did fall back a bit more and they didn't play the high line, as vigorously they did in the first half. They did defend a bit deeper in the second half, but they came out in the second half and they just attacked Argentina, and it worked. They took them by surprise and they flew bodies forwards, and some great goals. Like their goals were very well taken. There's a reason, Saudi Arabia's XG was 0.15. Their goals were very well taken. Like Salah El Shaarawy's first goal, very well taken goal. Right, not many players can do that. And then Alderweireld goal was insane. Getting it past for a couple of players, smashing it into the top corner or curling it into the top corner, whipping it. It was a very well taken goal. But Argentina, they'll probably be fine. Probably fine. They came up against the Saudi Arabia team that was very well coached. You can tell it was very well coached. But Argentina, it looked a bit weird. Papu Gomez on the left, I didn't like that. He didn't look that comfortable there or good there. I would have preferred having like Alexis McAllister there, just another body in midfield. But I prefer that. I like that against the UAE the other day. They usually have Lo Celso there. I think Alexis McAllister just adds a little bit defensive stability along with also having good attacking output, as Lo Celso brings. And it also has another player drop deep to get the ball because they couldn't get the ball to Messi at all, and they couldn't get balls from deep. And I still like not playing this. I know they played well Ottoman and Christian Romero, but not playing Lisandro Martinez. I know many United fans would say this, but Lisandro Martinez is their best centre back, they're the best defender. He came on and he didn't change the game, but you can tell he had different quality on the ball. As soon as he came on, they were able to get up the pitch a lot more. You can say, even after the goal, Argentina did throw a bit. They still couldn't get up the pitch. But as soon as Martinez came on, they controlled the game from deep, and they're able to get up the pitch. But they weren't able to create any chances. They're able to get up the pitch more. They weren't just lobbing balls forward here and there and not finding anyone. It was a bit weird to have it Tagliafico at left back wasn't very good. Molina at right back again wasn't very good. The quality wasn't there. I like the Foyth, Acuna full back options. So I think Argentina will fine. They'll probably win the next 2 games because the other team's group didn't look that good. But I just think wrong choices by Scaloni, easily fixed. I think it just wasn't much balance to the side. It just didn't look fluid at all. But Saudi Arabia looked really good, really well coached, and I thought this going into World Cup. Teams like Saudi Arabia, I would have said like Qatar, but it just showed no quality whatsoever. But teams like Saudi Arabia that have been together for a while, play for the same clubs, had the time off from the league, had time to play friendlies, get training together against teams that have been together for literally a week. There's always a space for them, and they showed that it can happen. They played the perfect game plan. It was brave. It could have been stupid. Maybe a more a more cohesive Argentina team that had been together for a couple of weeks probably would have smashed them 3-0, 4-0. But they weren't, and they played really well. The offside goal for Martinez was a bit stupid. The shoulder thing, Argentina would probably be annoyed at that, but Lo Celso was probably a big miss for Argentina. They didn't have anyone really off the bench that changed the game. Like Alvarez came off the bench, Enzo Fernandez came off the bench, Acuna came off the bench. It really changed the game. Like you brought Angel Correa, you brought Thiago Almada, like Dybala's on the bench. Like there's players that should have changed the game. Alejandro Garnacho is we left at home, and he could have easily gone and changed that game. They needed someone with direct running. Too much interplay. There's no one that ran at defence. Messi has that, but there was no space for him. Get someone like Alejandro Garnacho with all the pace in the world, all the energy in the world, to get them run at them. It just didn't go right. There's no fluidity in Argentina's play, and they will be fine. I think they should be fine, but it's a massive upset. They created chances, but you wouldn't say any chances that you think they should have scored really, apart from obviously the penalty. But they created chances. They had 15 shots, 6 on target. But no chance to go. If they should have scored, more often than not, they will score. The next for Argentina is Mexico, I think. Yeah, it's Mexico. They will come out a bit more. They will leave space in behind. They like Saudi, but they will also attack. But I think what we saw in the Mexico-Poland game is not much quality in that side, but they will try. They will go against them, but that leads us on to the Mexico-Poland game, and it was a bad game. It was a bad game. Poland looked. It was weird because Mexico could get the ball out of the pitch, but had no quality when it got into the final third. But Poland had no quality to get the ball into the final third to Lewandowski. It was. They needed each other. But it was, again, Ochoa to save the day at a World Cup. Like, this guy turns up every 4 years and does something amazing at a World Cup. I don't know who he plays for. I don't know who he has played for. It's such a strange thing. But yeah, Poland, you want them to be a bit more expensive, really. Like, they got some players for it. Like Zielinski, they had Milik on the bench. You thought, hey, that's probably a player they could probably use up there. Even Piatek, like, there's bodies there they can put on and help Lewandowski. But it was so isolated at times. Like there's 5 at the back, 3 in midfield. Really, it was literally an 8. It was just basically an 8-2 at some point. And Mexico didn't have the quality to punish them. So maybe you could go, oh, Poland did their job because they probably went for a draw. They're looking for draws. This is how they're going to play to try and win the games. But it just wasn't adventurous when you got a striker like Lewandowski. Like the one time they did get on the pitch and they did press hard, really, they got the penalty out of it. And it's a debate whether it's a penalty or not. I personally don't think it was. But they pressed high. They caught Mexico a mistake. Mexico don't have the most quality playing out of the back, so why not press them high? But they press them high, force a mistake. Lewandowski gets dragged down, but misses the penalty. So yeah, Poland had 6 shots, 2 on target. Mexico 11 shots, 4 on target. 1.01 XG for Poland, 0.72 for Mexico. It was just a very low quality game. And then they probably will both struggle against Argentina and Saudi Arabia because all of Saudi Arabia being well coached, it'll be very weird, playing, teams that probably have less quality than Argentina, whether they will be focused or not, Saudi Arabia, whether they will keep that focus. Maybe because it was Argentina, they just had focus for the whole game. Maybe they don't have that for these 2 teams, or they try to play out more and get them into trouble, but things can change. But Mexico, I think it is what it is with Mexico. They don't have the quality up front to, even on the bench, they don't have like that Javier Hernandez anymore to change it. They have Jimenez, but he hasn't been good at all really since his head injury, which is a bit sad. But Lozano looked good on the right hand side. He was a threat. At times, but yeah, again, final ball, bit of a problem. There were not many options in the box at times really for him. He would get there. There wasn't many options around him. or the options there, they made the wrong run, or also just having the five at the back of Poland was a struggle at times for them. But playing against a pure defensive team that was Poland, it did look alright. So maybe against teams that do have a bit more open space, where Lozano, where Alexis Vega can run into, it could be alright, because their midfield worked quite well together. Chavez, Alvarez, and Herrera, they work quite well together. It's quite a workmanlike midfield with the defensive prowess of Edson Alvarez and Hector Herrera. That is quite good. But the games against Saudi Arabia would be very important to see if they get if either team wins that game, and any of them if they either get anything out of the Argentina game. But this was their game to win. This one probably. This says we need to win this one if we definitely get out of Europe. And neither side really went for it. Mexico a bit more, but they just didn't have the quality maybe. But neither side committed 100% to the win, and maybe that's understandable because it is the World Cup. You don't want to risk things. But their games against Saudi Arabia now are very important, and Poland have them next. It'd be very interesting if they still play that very defensive style against Saudi Arabia, or they can exploit things that Argentina couldn't. But yeah, that is the state of this group, and yeah, it'll be very interesting though. Argentina bottom of the group, Mexico and Poland in the middle, Saudi Arabia on top. Very, very interesting. Completely throwing the spanner in all the works, isn't it? Completely throwing the spanner in the works. Let's move over to the next group. The game at 1 o'clock today was Denmark, Tunisia, another game that was a bit of a ball fest. Denmark controlled the game at times, but never really found anything big. Both sides had one big chance in the game. 1.6 XG to 0. For Denmark, 0.92 for Tunisia. Expected a bit more of Denmark, really. Tunisia played very well. They played the game plan. Snuffed out Denmark. They couldn't really create much. But yeah, Denmark were quite disappointing, really. Expected a bit more because they beat in France. They played well the last Euros, and yeah, they didn't really seem at it today. Ericsson played quite well. The defenders did alright, but Ericsson created 5 chances in the game, but didn't complete any of his forward dribbles, didn't win any of his 5 ground duels, and that's always the downside of Ericsson. But yeah, maybe Denmark are probably the better team when they're on the counter, because Thomas Delaney, Pierre Højbjerg, not the best ball players, playing a 3 at the back system with 3 actual centre backs instead of like a wing back tucked in to create that more attacking threat. But yeah, expected a bit more of Denmark, but Tunisia played quite well. The keeper had a good game. The midfield worked quite hard and well together. They looked threatening on the counter at times. If a bit more quality, they could have done something, but that's what they have. But yeah, their games against Australia will be very important now, because especially for Tunisia, if they can beat Australia and Denmark do lose to France or do drop points against Australia, they need them points against Australia. That'll be it's a massive game, because I expect both these teams to probably lose to France the way they look tonight. But the way Tunisia defended against the Denmark team, that are good. They are a good team, and they have worked well together in the past. They can show they can be a solid team and can frustrate teams. They did frustrate Denmark at times, and Denmark weren't getting the space and the touches they are able to get at some points. But again, with lack of planning, with lack of cohesion together, if you do defend deep, if you do defend well, if you work together well, teams who haven't been together long, it's hard to play their attacking styles when you haven't been together that long. It's hard to know if your fullback's inverting, going out, if it's overlapping, what you need to do after you pass, if you go back, if you run on. It's hard, and defending it is just a lot of the time. It is just stick to your shape. You're there, I'm here. Rotate, switch there. Okay, move over to the right hand side, move to the left hand side, push up the pitch, drop back. It is a lot of that. It's a lot simpler than these tournaments when there hasn't been much game plan on. it can work, and it didn't work for Australia, but Tunisia does have a bit more quality and experience in their side, and there will be again more surprises like this, because it has shown during the tournament already that the big teams can get through Australia and can drop points, and Denmark dropped points, and big drop points, because they were expected to win this game. And you go looking at Australia, like they hurt France a few times. They made them work for it. France looked really good. They got out the other end of it, but they made them work for it. You know, Denmark don't have the quality of France, so if Australia can do what they did against France, they could maybe cause Denmark a few troubles. And now the games against Australia have a bit more pressure on them than they did before. They were expected to win. They were expected at least 6 points from this group. It probably doesn't look like that now, unless they do beat France. But moving on to France, they look good. The opening minutes didn't look good. They went 1-0 down. Pretty good win with the goal. But after that, they looked very good. Very good. Chouameni in deep midfield controlled the game. 73 out of 76 passes, 6 out of 6 ground duels. Green attempted 4 tackles. He completely controlled the game from deep. He controlled the game from deep, and then Antoine Griezmann controlled the deep higher up the pitch. Absolutely amazing, Antoine Griezmann was. 6 chances created, 5 out of 6 crosses accurate. He was amazing higher up the pitch. 3 big chances created, 3. Didn't get a goal or assist. He was just amazing. It was the link between Mbappe, Giroud, Dembele. It was the link between the Rabiot and Chouameni pivot and the attack. It was outstanding, and that's the Griezmann I like to see. I like Griezmann in that. I like Griezmann next to number 9, where he can drop off, but also times he can run on, because Giroud will drop off and Griezmann can go forward. He caused that Australia back line. They just didn't know where he was the whole game. And with Giroud always picking up pockets as well. It's a very smart team up front with them two. They're very smart players. And when you've got the flair players on the outside, like Mbappe and Dembele, having smart players to interlink between them is very nice. And Mbappe, he was, I would say, frustrating at times, but he still got the goal and assist. But yeah, it wasn't the easiest of games for him. They did cause him troubles. He wasn't as successful as you thought he'd be against Australia, but same with Dembele. They didn't have the freedom. They didn't give up. They had the quality to snuff out them. They doubled them up. They didn't have it easy. And that's good. That's good that they didn't make it easy for them. But as the game went on, as Australia couldn't deal with the technical quality, they couldn't deal with the physical, the stamina that the France team have. It just waned and waned. They just couldn't have they didn't have the physical qualities or the concentration or the technical attributes to deal with it. And France looked really good without a lot of key players out due injury. They lost Lucas Hernandez to injury, but that probably might have been a blessing in disguise, because it made them play Theo Hernandez, and Theo Hernandez was amazing. Got an assist, 4 chances created. He was really, really good. But yeah, France created 4.1 XG. Very impressive. And yeah, they conceded a 0.43, and that's still really good. This was without even playing Camavinga, William Saliba, Rafael Varane. You probably say their back two, they probably prefer Varane and Saliba. I'll probably play Varane and Saliba, because Konate and Upamecano looked a bit dodgy at times. But yeah, Rabiot played well with a goal and assist. 5 tackles. Looked quite good at times. That's the Rabiot I want to see more. He's an all-round midfielder, but a lot of times he just plays down his ability, and it's kind of annoying. That's why I didn't want him at Man United at the time, because he just plays down to his ability. He's always had an excellent ability, but he's never lived up to it. But he played really well in this game. And France looked well on course to easily make the knockouts after that performance. Against Denmark will be a tricky game. Against Tunisia, again, they should win. The technical qualities, the physical qualities should beat them. And having a player like Chouameni in deep midfield is absolutely perfect. Maybe I wouldn't say blessing in disguise that Pogba or Kante are injured, but having a Chouameni in that midfield is amazing. I'm sure he probably would have been left on the bench if they were fit, but having in that deep midfield was really good. He's more suited to that lone deep midfielder than Kante because he's better on the ball than Kante. But Kante's obviously a better tackler, but maybe Tchouameni's just a bit more physical, a bit more. He's obviously got more of a physical presence, taller as well. But he can play in that lone position, got a bit of a better position and read of the game maybe, but Kante's a bit more front foot as well. So maybe having Tchouameni and Kante together would probably have been nice, but they've got Rabiot who played well today. But then they've also got Camavinga on the bench or Guendouzi if they need. But it's just a shame that Benzema got injured. But Giroud, 2 goals as well. Now, isn't he France's all-time top goal scorer? Passing Thierry Henry, which is a big thing. Yeah, amazing. Great player, Giroud, great player. Strikers are always defined by goals and assists, but his link-up play, he got 2 goals, but his link-up play was amazing. It was a massive part of the last World Cup win, and he's back at it again. And players like Mbappe and Dembele need a striker like Giroud around them. He only had 19 touches, but he's always picking up spaces. He's always in the right place at the right time, and it always brings, a bit of calmness to the team, which I like. But yeah, there were the games today. A few surprises, a few ball fests, and not a real surprise with France and Australia. But the games tomorrow: Germany, Japan. No, Germany, Japan is second. Morocco, Croatia first. Croatia. You expect Croatia to win, but Morocco got some good players. They do, but Hakimi, Algard, Saiz, and Mazzara as a defence is actually quite good. You probably prefer them not being a defensive side, but they probably will be. And Ziri up front is quite good, but Croatia do have some quality players. Their midfield, everyone knows about Brozovic, Modric, Kovacic. They do have quality. I expect Croatia to win, but again, you'll probably want a game like the Morocco with like the Tunisia Denmark game, or like the games that happened. What happened? Mexico, Poland. That's it. You expect them to be like them games because they're the kind of games you just expect to see at the World Cup. Germany, Japan. You expect Germany to win, but Japan, they always surprise people with their high energy. They never stop working, and it always causes issues at World Cups. Smart players as well, but Germany, you expect them to win. They've got so much quality in their side. Joshua Kimmich in midfield runs games like this. In Spain, Costa Rica, I expect Spain to have about 87% possession and have about 4 shots. That's just the Spain we all know. But yeah, Spain will probably win 1-0, 2-0. It'll probably be something like that. They'll keep possession until they're blue in the face, and then it'll probably work out at some point. And then the final game, Belgium-Canada, is probably the most exciting game of the day. Belgium defensively look a bit frail with some of their players that are either old or mostly old, like Alderweireld and Vertonghen, and in midfield, probably Tielemans in there, Axel Witsel, and you've got Kevin De Bruyne up front, but do you have Lukaku, wing backs, who do you play? You probably play Carrasco and Castagna, but got Thorpe and Hazard as well. And in Canada, it's all about Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, isn't it? If Alphonso Davies should be fit already, hopefully he's fit. But yeah, they've carried Canada to this World Cup, and there's 2 very exciting players. And playing on the counter against the likes of Davies and David, it's scary. It's scary, and especially with the older defence of Belgium, it could cause them a lot of problems. But we'll see what they're like tomorrow. I'll review them in a video tomorrow. But like and subscribe, comment your thoughts on the games, and see you next time.